Hello everybody, this is Tyler from Tcustoms, and today I'm going to show you how I went from this to this. Now I've always been a fan of the original Magnum Superdrum, and I was very excited when I heard it was coming out, but as you can see it has some problems. It seems to be performing just as good as the original, as a Krylon saying it's hitting about an average of 76 feet per second. So now that we figured out the starting performance, we can actually start the mod. Like always, I began by taking out all the screws, being sure to remember which ones go where. But luckily for us, Start Zone normally uses all of the same screws, so it's not a big deal. I always make sure to take a picture of the internals, that way I know how to put it together when that time comes around. Although I guess you guys can just take a screenshot. All I ask in return is just you hit the subscribe button. With that out of the way, we can take out the internals. There seems to be this massive screw that you need to be careful of when taking it out, and these two other screws that seem to be different sizes, just like my nut. We can now take out the plunger assembly, remembering there's a screw on the backside. The clips holding the drum in place seem to be the exact same, so you don't gotta worry about mixing them up. Now we'll take out all the screws and pop out the plastic panel. Moving on to paint, I sanded the whole thing down with the Rustoleum. Moving on to the painting process, I started off by sanding the whole thing down with some 400 grit sandpaper. This helps the paint adhere. I then followed it with a matte white Rustoleum. I'll then gather up all the other pieces I want to use as my accent colors and spray them with this Nissan orange mist I got from the Awesome store. Now for the stock, I wanted some more visual interest, so I just masked it off and used some of that more orange paint. Filter bags make a great tool for paint. I also picked up this Ford Silver and used it to add some more metallic aspects to the picture. And I also used it on the barrel. The main body of this blaster was looking a little bit plain, so I just masked off a small area and painted it orange. With everything painted, I think, I can now do a rough assembly of the blaster just to see how I like it, and I kind of hate it. While some parts look good, like the metallic silver contrasting with the matte white, the rest of the orange paint kind of just looks cheap in person. While on camera, it might not look too bad. In person, it's a whole nother story. Just like those Instagram. Can I even say that? So I made a little test piece off camera and sprayed it with a matte clear coat, and I think this looks much better. So before I clear coated the rest of the blaster, I gave it all a dry brush with some black paint to make it look more battle damaged, because, well, that's just the way I like things to look. This build, I originally was trying to just make it look really clean, but that isn't my style. I like to make old, beat up props that have a story to tell. And you can see just how much a little dry brush can do. So with that dried, I applied a clear coat to the rest of the blaster. And when all is dried, we can now start reassembling the blaster. So I'll pull out my reference photo and start the tedious process. But looking at my audience retention graphs, no one really cares about the reassembly, so I'll just cross-dissolve it. With that done, we can now test fire it before I put all the screws in. Make sure you do this with any mod you do, because it really sucks when you put everything together and have to take it all apart again after you realize it just doesn't function, especially when it could have been avoided by a simple test. It fired fine, but the trigger finger seems a little bit sticky, so I'll add some lube wherever necessary, and yeah, all was well. So now I'll just screw the blaster shut and add all the other greases necessary. Now you may be asking yourself, Tyler, where's the modification of this blaster? Well, to be honest, it doesn't really need it. I mean, this blaster stock hits exactly what I want it to. It hits hard enough and not too hard. Well, I would go in there, take out the air restrictor and pad the plunger head. That's, well, there is no air restrictor and the plunger head's already padded. It seems like some Nerf blaster makers are actually listening to the modders in their community and putting us out of business. Maybe. Maybe. But with that grim thought of the way, we can move on to the weather thing. With that out of the way, we can move on to the weathering. Now, I did a little bit of test weathering on the stock of the blaster, and it looks a little bit too dark, but not too far to go back. I'm just doing the rest of the blaster. Hopefully it looks good at the end. I used some black acrylic paint just all over the entire blaster. But for the orange parts, I used some of this teal paint to make it look like rusted copper. Whenever you're painting something and just don't know what to do for the weathering to make it look a little bit better, just find the color you're using, go to the opposite side of the color wheel and use that. When done subtly, it looks good. Or I guess I could just say complementary color, but get the idea. And with that, this blaster's finished. Well, this week I didn't really build anything. Next week I got a new tool for a special project. But until then, thanks for watching.